Hey, and welcome back to Workshop Wednesday. I'm Chelsea Bussemeyer. Thanks for joining me today in my workshop. And I'm excited to do another pattern fabric pairing review today. We have a super cute pattern that one of my students from the fabric workshop, Janet, sent in. So this is your video today to look at this super adorable top. So let's get to it. So here we go. Our pattern for today is the Geneva blouse from Liesel Co. It's a very cute top here, V-neck. You've got two different sleeve options, and depending on which sleeve you want to go with, I would also recommend different fabrics. But getting kind of to the bottom of what is it that I really want from this garment, what kind of weight, drape, what time of year am I going to wear this, and just understanding the fabric from the structure that it offers is going to help you choose and pair your fabric to this pattern. If we look at these fashion sketches for both the lantern and the bell sleeve, we can really see the shape of the garment. And right at the top here, we also have the suggested fabrics for this pattern. So works best with a variety of light to medium weight. That's definitely a great suggestion there. Most tops, you'll want that light to medium weight. Tops, whether they're long sleeve, short sleeve, we typically use lighter weight fabrics than you would for, a jacket, pants. That's when you want to get into heavier weights. Woven fabrics including quilting cotton, voile, lawn, shirting, poplin, broadcloth, denim, linen, and flannel are all suggested here. So what are the similarities and what are the differences? Well, first of all, we have a range of kind of weight. The voile and broadcloth are probably your lightest weight, so they're going to have the most softness, drape, and flow to them. Your quilting cotton and linen will have probably the most structure, the most stiffness. The linen just due to the fiber mostly, and the quilting cotton due to just the density of the yarns packed tightly in the weave. So the tighter those yarns are packed together, the less movement and drape the fabric will have. So density of yarns and closeness will play a part as well in all of these as to how well they drape or how stiff they drape. The lantern sleeve, I think, would be very nice with a stiffer fabric just to really show off the shape of that sleeve. Whereas if you did the bell sleeve, I would want to lean towards something that maybe draped a little softer, had a little bit more flow to it. I think this garment would also be very, very lovely in a chiffon to have a lot of flow. Again, the chiffon would drape very, very soft, so that lantern sleeve would just fall a little bit flat. So it may not be something that you would want to do with the lantern sleeve unless you wanted to kind of play down the lantern sleeve. If you didn't want it to be so poofy, that wasn't quite your thing, but you liked just the detailed design of having that extra seam and having some shape, a softer fabric like a chiffon or even a crepe fabric, I think would be very nice for this blouse. If we start to look at different fibers, as most of the fabrics suggested are most commonly made out of cotton, which has a little bit more structure to it, a little more stiffness, that would just make, again, the shape and drape a little bit stiffer. Whereas if you looked at maybe some natural polymers, a viscose, something like that, that has a very kind of limp drape to it, you might be able to find something that has a stiffness and a structure to it, but more of a flowy, limp type drape. Another kind of fiber variation that you could add is having something with a little bit of stretch to it to give it a little bit more mobility and softer drape. So ask yourself, what is it that I want from this garment? How do I want it to hang, drape, react, and choose your fabric based on looking at the actual shape of the garment like we see here in the actual fashion sketch. What is the shape? I think this blouse would be incredibly adorable in a lace fabric as well. Something that's not too heavy and bulky, maybe has a little bit of structure to it to show off those lantern sleeves. Wear it over top of a little tank top. I love having lace with a different color underneath, which really makes that lace pop. Really, the sky's the limit with what kind of fabric you can use. And I love that they even suggest that quilting cotton, as that did come up in our fabric workshop, as there's so many beautiful quilting cottons out there and you just want to gravitate to those just because of the patterns, the colors, the styles, but it really needs to be used for the right type of garment. And even in this garment, in this blouse, a quilting cotton will have a lot more structure to it, right? So it will drape a little bit boxier and stiffer. So utilize those properties from your fabrics. What are the properties that you want to have, and what fabric has those properties? And looking at your fabrics from this perspective will really help you pair a fabric with a design, with a style, to really create garments that you love, because that's at the end of the day what you really want to sew is something that you love and you're going to wear. If you want a little more drama and a little more structure and a little more voila with your lantern sleeves, then you want to choose a fabric that will give you that. If you want to play it down a little bit and have that detail, but in a little bit more toned down way, then a little bit of softness, more flow to your garment will give you that. So what is it that you want to make, and pair those styles and designs with those fabrics that way. That wraps up this episode of Workshop Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. As always, if you're not part of my Facebook group, hop on over. The link will be in the description box. And better yet, send me a message either here or a DM and let me know if you want to join my club class and join me monthly live for sewing tips, for instruction on whatever it is that you're sewing, so that you can get those tips answered live and get my eyeballs on your project so you can have more sewing success. The more successful garments we sew, the more garments we sew that we actually love and wear, that will bring us forward, and slow fashion will become a bigger part of our wardrobe. So thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you again next week